Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the second day of APEC Meets Silicon Valley. We will be beginning our program shortly, so if you will please join us in the conference center and take your seats, we will begin momentarily. For this morning's first session, Advancing the Future of Industry Through Innovation, Sustainability, the Philippines delegation, please welcome to the stage Secretary Christina Frasco, the Department of Tourism. Joining her for our discussion this morning, we have Captain Stanley and our own John Grubb, Bay Area Council CEO, or COO, moderating.
Great, thank you. Thanks everyone, please have a seat. So my name is John Grubb. I'm a Chief Operating Officer here at the Bay Area Council. I want to welcome you to Klamath. How many of you, this is your first time on the Klamath? A show of hands. Okay, great. So this is an historic ferry boat that used to carry more passengers before we had a train system in the Bay Area. We had 120 boats that were like this. That carried more than the BART system, which is our mass rail system that we have right now. And they're all gone, except for this one and 3 others that we've managed to preserve. You are on a boat. It does move. Please don't worry. If you see me worry, then you can worry. Otherwise, it's fine. So if it feels like an earthquake or something like that, it's just the motion of the boat that's going on. So we have a really exciting panel today to talk about trade with the Philippines and especially tourism with the Philippines. So I'm going to give some quick introductory remarks. I think many of you know this, but about the Philippines. So, and I also, just want to say welcome to those that are in the room, but also welcome to those that are on Zoom that are participating today. So the Philippines, as we all know, is an island country. There's 7,000 islands in the Philippines. In California, we only have 527, so you beat us on that. It has 3 times the size of the population size of California, and it's the 13th largest country in the world. It has a very young population, with more than 2/3 of the population under the age of 35. It has a pretty large GDP. Of $394 billion, and it's very quickly growing at about 6%, at least the last time it was measured in 2019. Special for California is that half of all Philippine Americans that live in the United States live in California. So welcome to your second home. We're really pleased to have you here. In terms of trade, our biggest trade that we have between the Philippines and California is on processed foods, and then the next, of course, is computer and electronic products, which we want to grow. And then we also want to grow tourism as well, of course. And so it's my honor to welcome Secretary Esperanza Christina Garcia Frasco, who is the Secretary of Tourism. She was previously a mayor and a lawyer, so a quick welcome to her, please. And then we're also joined on the stage by Captain Stanley, who is the president and COO of Philippine Airlines. And he literally connects the Philippines to the rest of the world. So please welcome him. And then I hear traffic is horrible out there. The Bay Bridge is shut down right now, and there's a lot going on. So we may be joined by a 3rd speaker, and if he comes, I will introduce him. But Secretary Frasco, let me start with you. What is the state of tourism, and how are you working to grow the industry?
Good morning, everyone. Mabuhay. And as we like to say in the Philippines, love the Philippines. Well, first of all, I'm very honored and privileged to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. We have 7,641 islands in the Philippines, with 82 provinces, over 100 cities, and over 1,400 municipalities, all of which are able to offer sunny weather all throughout. So you're all welcome to join us in the country. The state of tourism in the Philippines is one of gradual transformation under our President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos's vision for our country to become Asia's next tourism powerhouse. The intention is not merely to recover what has been lost during the pandemic, and there has been much loss, but rather to situate the Philippines in a primary position in Asia, first as a world-renowned destination for nature-based activities. We are, after all, presently the world's leading beach and dive destination and Asia's best cruise destination. And also to reintroduce the Philippines to the world on the strength of the Filipino identity that rests on our biodiversity, our diversity in terms of the many influences that we've had in our long-standing history, as well as our rich living cultural traditions. In addition to this, the President also envisions our country to become Asia's center for tourism hospitality excellence, as we view the Filipino tourism workers as being the best asset of Philippine tourism. Thus far, we have received over 4.6 million international visitors, and at the end of 2022, we received over 102 million domestic trips. And these arrivals have inured for the Philippines an over 6.2% contribution to our GDP, with over 34 billion in revenues contributed to our economy. Our National Economic Managers has recognized tourism to be the second top driver for economic growth. And as of today, over $7 billion have been contributed by our foreign visitor tourist receipts, with the US being the second top source market for the country. So thank you for your support for Philippine tourism.
That's great. What are some of the innovations or new trends that you've been bringing to tourism in the Philippines?
First of all, the chief mandate of the Department of Tourism is the promotion of the Philippines to jurisdictions worldwide. But upon the direction of our President, the approach of the DOT under this administration is not merely one of promotion, but rather product development. And that requires a rehash of the entire National Tourism Development Plan, which was recently approved by our President. Under the NTDP, we have identified 7 main objectives that is responsive to the pillars for tourism development as identified by the World Economic Forum. First, our focus is on strengthening Philippine tourism infrastructure in terms of roads, water systems, drainages, bridges, and second, to enhance connectivity. As you all know, unless you take a cruise, you must take a flight to the Philippines. And that is why the effort has been to focus on routes development together with the Department of Transportation to increase the number of flights coming in from international jurisdictions, as well as the flights within our domestic destinations. This connectivity is further enhanced by efforts to increase marine transportation, as well as the improvement of our gateways in terms of our airports and our seaports. We also view the enhancement of the overall tourist experience as one that is absolutely critical to providing an unforgettable and profound Philippine experience. Based on a survey that was conducted among tourists that went around the Philippines, the number one concern was, at the time, the lack of clean and decent restrooms for tourists as they go to and fro certain destinations. And therefore, we wasted no time since the beginning of our President's administration to build 10 tourist rest areas across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao that have a very well-appointed information center, a lounge for tourists, clean and decent restrooms, as well as a souvenir center where our small and medium enterprises can sell their local wares and goods. It even goes so far as to have a lactation room for breastfeeding mothers who may be traveling with their babies. I myself am a mother of 4 very young children. In addition to this, we have also enhanced the digitalization of the country in line with our President's vision for the full digitalization of government services. We have collaborated with the Department of Information and Communications Technology to improve internet connectivity across 94 destinations in the Philippines. And what you can anticipate when you visit the country is a much improved experience as far as internet connectivity is concerned. To dovetail with that and to give you an opportunity to have a view of our beautiful destinations, even prior to going to the Philippines, we have just recently launched the Travel Philippines mobile application, which you can download on the Google or Apple Store. The Travel Philippines app gives you a view into all the regions of the Philippines as well as our provinces, cities, and municipalities. It's experience-based, and therefore you simply have to click on the experience that you like, whether it's hiking, kite surfing, surfing, diving, gastronomy, and the like, and it takes you to all the places in the country that offer these activities, as well as gives you an opportunity to have a direct connection to our Department of Tourism accredited travel agencies, tour operators, and even down to our tour guides. In addition to this, we view the necessity of giving our tourists a sense of safety and security. And that is why we have continued our tourist police programs, training together with the Department of Interior and local government. We've trained over 7,000 tourist police so far across our destinations in the country. And we have launched the very first tourist assistance call center, a unified number that you can call, whether via phone, mobile, or online, that gives you an opportunity to connect directly to a Filipino call center agent, not AI, that can give you information about our tourist destinations, as well as assistance should you encounter any issue while going across the Philippines that concerns medical emergencies or peace and security. We also view the necessity of elevating the quality of tourism offerings in the country. And that is why, looking at the progress that has been made on tourist convenience in cities such as San Francisco, London, and other cities around the world, the Philippines has also just recently launched the very first Philippines hop-on, hop-off bus tours. You can also download an app for that on your phone, where you can book a 1-day pass, 3-day pass that takes you through the wonderful destinations across our cities in Metro Manila. This is an effort that we hope to be able to replicate in key cities around the country, as our president's vision is to ensure equal tourism promotions and development. We have also made the effort to give our international and domestic tourists a view not only into our nature-based destinations, of which there are very many, but also a view into the heart and soul of the Filipino. And that is why we have launched the Philippine Experience, a heritage, culture, and arts caravan that allows our tourists to get to know our destinations by way of our heritage sites, our pilgrimage destinations, our festivals, our food, the work of our local artisans, and immersions to have a purposeful experience among our locals in the country. There are so very many other innovations that we have also introduced, though I don't want to take up all of the time. But I mention all of this just to give you a purview that the prospects for Philippine tourism are really quite promising, especially with a president that has very clearly articulated that tourism is a priority. And he has rallied the entire nation to fully support this industry that is one of the strongest pillars for socio-economic development in our country. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That's really impressive, and I'm coming. I've never been before, and I'm going to.
You can download the app.
Yeah, I will. I didn't want to do it during the panel; it'd be rude, but I will. We've been joined by George Barcelon, who is the president of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I read just quickly, in a biography about him, but he wears many hats, and he has built for himself, it's a result of decades of grit, resilience, credibility, and genuine care for people, is how he's built his career, which is pretty impressive. He's the visionary behind Integrated Computer Systems, Inc., which is one of the top 1,000 companies in the Philippines. And then he's also, for the purpose of this panel, an expert in exports. And he's worked in various industries from tech, obviously, but also banking, real estate. And he started in rubber and plastic manufacturing, I believe, which was a family business. Yeah, a shoe manufacturing, wow. And so I'm actually gonna ask you the next question, George. So what is your best pitch for Silicon Valley or California companies? Why should they expand in the Philippines, given your own experience?
Thank you for the very generous introduction. I have been, as you mentioned earlier, in the computer business. And for the longest time, I was the country distributor of Radio Shack in the Philippines. I started that business way back 1978. Okay. Having said that, but I'm a chemical engineer, so as you mentioned earlier, I'm in the rubber and basically footwear manufacturing. We used to supply Nike shoes and other flip-flops. But here I'm holding, wearing the hats of being the president of Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the biggest business organizations back home. We have about 110 regional chapters all over the Philippines, and we have about 50 industry associations affiliated with our organizations. And you asked the question, why? I think what our Secretary, Christine Frasco, just narrated, there's a lot going on in the Philippines. And one thing is that, you know, we have, the Philippines is the second largest nation in the ASEAN. Of course, Indonesia is much bigger. We're about 110 million in population, still growing. And the average age, the demographic advantage is that our average age is only 25. Okay. And you can see our Secretary Frasco belongs to that group, young. Having said that, and well, as I was yesterday at a meeting with the Executive Director, John Goyer of U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We have worked with him for a while. I met him during the first trip of our president in New York. And I said, it's about time that we have a closer working relationship. So we signed up an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to work between our two organizations. And he flew back again last July to work out the detail. And we had a signing during our business conference, which was only 2 weeks ago. And it was witnessed by Her Excellency, the U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson. So with that, we're really strengthening the bond between the U.S. and the Philippines. I was here last July to attend one of the meetings here, COFAP, which is the Coalition of Philippine American Chamber of Commerce. And I was so surprised that they have about 27, I believe, chapters in that organization. So we're also attracting our fellow Filipinos to look into the Philippines for possible ventures. One area that I think is that people can look into, we have liberalized the retail trade. People who want to go to the Philippines, the investment is quite reasonable. It's only $500,000 US, okay, to set up an operations there in the Philippines to be the retail trade business. And for every branch, I think it's about $300,000 US. The cap before used to be $2.5 million to invest in the retail trade. But the Department of Finance, also NEDA, saw it wisely that we would like to lower down to attract more investors in the Philippines. So those are the areas I would like to think that our Filipinos known all over the world. I mean, everybody knows them. They are hardworking in the health sector, in the engineering sector, software, but we hope that there'll be more investment back home and we can bring back our fellow Filipinos there to the Philippines to work there. Okay? But having said that, the young people now are quite agile in the e-platform. Okay. During the COVID-19, I think that sort of gave us a realization that many of the small ones, or the micro and small companies, were able to survive because they were able to transform themselves into a digital platform. Okay. And the schools, our universities are quite focused in that area. On the animation side, you know, the animation movie that you see probably in the production of Disney and everything, a lot of these animations are done in the Philippines. We have many schools that are focused in this area. My discussion with Mr. Goyer of U.S. Chamber of Commerce is that there's a huge opportunity for American companies to invest. We would like them to invest, of course, in the AI, software, but also in the industries that we're seeing a lot of traction, like 3D printing. The world market now for 3D printing is about $22 billion. But they projected by 2030, the market would be like 5 times more, $100 billion. And we think that Philippine, any company, American companies, should look into the Philippines. But the advantage is, you know, whatever you have, whatever the manuals, the training manuals you use here, can be easily adopted in the Philippines. We have a good command of English. When you invest in Vietnam or in Thailand, you still have to, you know, translate the manuscript or the manual into their dialect. So those are good, big advantage. On the, I'm supposed to talk about innovations and sustainability. We have, we're not in the top ranking as far as innovation, but we have improved. We've actually ranked, I believe now it's about 55. Okay? The highest is Switzerland, Sweden, and US is the third. The only ASEAN countries that ranks in the top 10 is Singapore. But the innovations, I'd like to describe it in the way that, you know, the Greek philosopher, Plato, he was the one who said that necessity is the mother of invention. And I have my own version. Survival is the father of innovation. Nowadays, you need to innovate to survive, no matter which industry you're in. So I cannot specifically share what are the areas that we're strong in, but in our chamber, we work closely with the universities. Every year, we have an award given for projects that we deem is classified as, you know, has some edge in the innovation aspect. So those are the things that you can see that if you were to consider looking to the Philippines, there's a lot of upside to it. Okay? As I mentioned earlier, average age 25. Only 2 weeks ago, we have our business conference, and our theme, Vision 2050. You know, when you think about it, it seems like it's almost 3 decades away, 27 years from today. But by 2050, the population of the Philippines will be about 150 million. And what is surprising is the average age is still 30 years old. So we have the sweet spot, you know, with a population like that, young, productive, both ways. Procreation is part of it in the productive side. So all of this is really can show us that Philippines has the upside. The projections of World Bank or Goldman Sachs, they've been saying that the Philippines in the next, by mid-30s, we should be in the top, at least top 10 to 12 country in the world. So if you have any questions later on, if I can answer them, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Captain Ng also has an incredible personal story, who's made his way up through the airline to be on the top seat. Tell us a little bit about the airline business. How have you recovered from the pandemic? And then also, if you could talk a little bit about your connections to California too. Have they been fully reestablished, or all the flights returning? And what's your growth plan?
So good morning, everyone. So thank you for this invitation. So as we all know that the airline industry was severely impacted by the COVID pandemic. But just to fast forward a few years later, so starting last year, when we had the Omicron variant, and quickly after that, one after the other, the country started opening up. So that really helped boost the tourism in our country, like the Secretary had mentioned earlier. So it recovered quite well. And since the second half of last year, it has been doing really great for the airline. I think it's, in the region, it's better, but of course, it's not even across the entire world. So a good news is last year was the best ever year for Philippine Airlines financially. So we were able to recover quite well. But we also learned so much from the pandemic. We learned that as a flag carrier, there's more to it than just operating an airline. But it's during the pandemic that we have to ship essential goods like vaccines and all the other resources that the country needed at that time, as well as repatriating our overseas workers from even the places that we don't really fly to. We have to go there and pick them up just to bring our countrymen home. And what we learned the most is the partnership and collaboration. And we are very happy to be in this position today because of the mandate from our president, BBM, and the Department of Tourism, really pushing hard to increase the tourist arrival and making sure that the Philippines will be, we will put the Philippines again on the map. Beside all the tourist destinations, beaches, and the Secretary also mentioned about the arts, culture, and even food. That's why in 2021, we also serve food, Filipino food in flight by our local chefs to actually let the general public to taste the Filipino food. And because if Filipino food is not yet that recognized in the world, but I believe it's the best time just to share a little bit about that. So we'll be putting a new dessert on the menu, which is uniquely Filipino. It's halo-halo. So I hope we're all really excited about that. So to answer your second question, that how do we see California? We have recovered fully our capacity to California. We have twice daily to Los Angeles and daily to San Francisco. And it's doing really, really well. And the financial success that we had last year and even this year, I would say, we would say about 50% of that was because of the California market. So we're deeply grateful for that.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Since we're talking about sustainability, a lot of our airlines here, so the Bay Area Council is like a chamber of commerce, George. So we share that in common, and many of the airlines are our members as well as the airports. And a big focus for them is on sustainable aviation fuel and reducing the carbon intensity of the fuels. And I'm just wondering if that's something that you've focused on, or is that something in the future for your airline?
Oh, so we have already started the program on the sustainability. First of all, of course, investing in newer aircraft, newer engines to have lesser carbon emissions. We have already ordered our new fleet, which will be coming in the second half of 2025. So that's one thing that it's in place already. And last week, I was in Singapore for the Association of Asia Pacific Airlines. So we also pledged to use at least 5% of sustainable aviation fuel by 2030, 5 to 10%. I know that's a significant area that we can improve on. However, with the scale of the sustainable aviation fuel today, it's quite challenging as of today. But that's why we would like to work together with the regulators to scale up the production of SAF to make it more available to everybody. Because at the moment, it's just less than 1% of the total consumption of fuel is sustainable aviation fuel.
Right, okay. Secretary Frasco, to return to you, you've already sold me. But if I only have time for 3 things to see in the Philippines, what are well, let's not call it the top 3 because you don't want to offend anybody, but just the first 3 that come to your mind that visitors should see.
Well, considering the number of our islands and the great diversity that we offer in the country, you can understand the difficulty of my answer to that question. But if I may, I would just like to highlight the major strengths of the country that have been affirmed by travelers all over the world. We continue to be the world's leading beach destination, so you can visit any of our amazing and wonderful and pristine beach destinations that include, of course, our award-winning islands of Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, and if you like surfing, we have Siargao, La Union, and other places in the country. Diving also offers an opportunity to swim with the whale sharks, the thresher sharks, and be in the presence of millions of sardines with a wonderful Moal Boal sardine run. There is a reason why we're now Asia's leading dive destination. We offer many cruises to the Philippines with over 128 ports of call across 33 island destinations. But beyond all of that, my invitation to you all really is to get to know the Filipino people. You've encountered many of them here in California, and they are a great source of pride for us back home. And I assure you that the love and warmth, the dedication to service and to duty and love of country is multiplied in leaps and bounds when you come to the Philippines. We have put in the effort of training over 111,000 Filipino workers across the tourism value chain so as to prepare for the inevitable influx of tourists into the country. All of that we're able to offer to you as there are simply an endless number of reasons to love the Philippines.
Wow, okay, great. George, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know that I've been told that there's some interesting things happening at the former U.S. military base, Subic Bay. And I'm wondering if you are aware, if there's any developments at Subic Bay that you could share in terms of what's happening. It's okay if you don't know, but I didn't know if you were aware of that. Yeah, at Subic Bay. Yeah.
Well, previously we have a big Korean outfit there. But lately, I think it has been privatized. I mean, the Korean gave up their operations, and it's an American firm involved in sort of reviving the operations. But what I'd like to add to what Secretary of our Tourism mentioned, that Philippines is known for its beautiful islands and everything, right? And we have they claim that, we claim that there are about 7,107 islands. It depends on the high tide or low tide, right? If the high tide, we lose a few islands. But having said that, really, I look at it from the point that, Philippines is the water that connects the island. And we have so much to go for it. There are beautiful areas, beautiful beaches and everything. And you know, on our small way of helping to promote tourism, our local chambers are encouraged to work with the local schools for them to write articles about what's unique about their place, okay? Be it people, possibly about national heroes in their vicinity. And we'd like to highlight that because we think that, as what Secretary Frasco mentioned, it's not just the sunset, sunrise, or the beaches, but culturally, we have a lot to share. The history of the Philippines, and I think that's more important. And the fact that during her tenure, the number of tourists in the Philippines has gone up, but we still have a long way to go because we look at our ASEAN neighbors, the likes of Thailand. They have about almost close to 40 million tourists every year. We're trying to catch up, and what we're seeing with the good work the Secretary has put in, pretty soon we'll be catching up to that number.
If Captain Stanley Nang adds more flights to the Philippines.
That's great. Let me ask you, San Francisco and the Bay Area have had some reputational issues. I don't know if this has reached the Philippines, but I'm imagining that it has. How has your experience been? You know, how has APEC been for you? I'll let any of you answer this, but you know, has it met? Is it different than the reputation that we have, or is there not a troubled reputation?
To be honest, there was some concern,
yeah,
about coming over here with what we see in the news and everything. The number of people around the city, the homeless people there and everything. But we heard that they've been cleaned up, at least temporarily. They're either moved somewhere or in motel or whatnot. But I hope that I will see the San Francisco to be able to reclaim its glorious days. You know, I have good memories about San Francisco. It's a place that I'd like to, I mean, if I were to migrate to the US, I would like to stay in San Francisco. Culturally, there's so many things going on. You don't have to drive 50 miles, you know, like in Los Angeles. Here, everything is around. You can see a lot of things that is going on. So I hope that of course, this time because of the APEC, I know even the city folks try to shy away from the downtown area because of the traffic. I have to apologize for being late. You know why? They told me I'd be picked up about 8:30, and just wait outside the hotel. So I waited outside the hotel for a long time. I kept on communicating. He said, "Oh, the car is there. The car is there." Finally, I asked, "Do you know where I stay?" They thought I was staying in Ritz-Carlton, but I'm booked in Intercontinental. So miscue, right?
Yeah.
So it was all the delay and everything, but finally I made it. I said, at first I was thinking that I'm going to be late. I might as well give an excuse. I'm not going to show up. But I thought it's too good a chance. The opportunity to speak to the ladies and gentlemen here who are interested about the Philippines. So I said, okay, I'll try to beat the deadline. I haven't had breakfast, to be honest.
We have some snacks out there.
No, because when they called me, I was having breakfast. I ordered my breakfast. And the lady said, you know, the van is waiting outside for you. So I canceled my breakfast. I went straight out and stood there for, the time I was picked out was about an hour. So anyways, okay. I can afford it.
Good.
Not
good.
to have breakfast.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So I wanted to ask if there's any, we have a couple more minutes left, so if there's any questions from the audience, and I see you, sir. And if there's a, go ahead and speak, it's okay. Well,
Sure. I just wanted to ask a two-part question. You know, we've seen some tensions recently around the second Thomas around the second Thomas Shoal, and U.S.-China competition in the region is obviously a source of tension. So I'm wondering, how do those geopolitical tensions affect the Philippines' trade relationships, the investment environment for businesses, and do you expect any improvements around those tensions coming out of APEC?
Does anyone want to take that question?
I don't know whether this is the answer to your question, but in the past, my discussion with the USF Chamber of Commerce, I shared my thoughts. I said, we have, with the new administration, we've really enhanced the closeness between Philippines and United States. And I would like to look at it that we put ourselves in the line. Okay? But I look at towards the other concern really is we hope that companies, there's a lot of supply chain on the U.S. company that are located in China. Okay? And would like to encourage some of these firms that are moving out of China to come to the Philippines. I know sometimes we're not shortlisted because a lot of companies will go to Vietnam or elsewhere. Okay? So that's the role that I do as a chamber president, and during the EPEC, the businessmen I meet, like you, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to really for you to look into the Philippines. And again, to revive the closeness between our two countries. And trade is one of them, and tourism. Okay, thank you. I hope I answered your question.
That's great. Sir, one last question.
Yes, I think to address your question about Subic and the gentleman's comment, President Marcos wants Subic Bay to be open to more investment and trade. Subic Bay has doubled in size in the last 10, 15 years, and it's growing bigger. Back in February, there's bunkering that is allowed for fuel, and Redondo Bay is open for investment. So it's a good sign about the leadership in the Philippines regarding the tension in the West Philippine Sea.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
I'd like to say a few remarks.
Yeah, please.
First of all, we are firmly behind the position of our president to ensure the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Philippines. That being said, tourism is one of the only sectors in the world that is able to transcend politics, opinions, differences in race, and many other issues. And that is why, under the administration of President Marcos, we are firmly focused on ensuring that we are able to capitalize on the markets that we perceive can help boost Philippine tourism. That also includes China. The fact that the Philippines and China signed a memorandum of cooperation on tourism in the early part of this year shows a great indication that the people-to-people exchange and cultural exchanges with and among our countries will continue to thrive, notwithstanding current issues. That being said, on the aspect of investment, I would just like to mention that an attached agency of the Department of Tourism is the Tourism Infrastructure Enterprise Zone Authority, which administers several tourist enterprise zones across the country. At present, there are 18 TEZs that are privately run and are quite successful in various industries regarding tourism. And we do have flagship tourism enterprise zones run by the TIEZA that are ripe for investment. I would just like to focus on two. Number one, being in San Vicente in the beautiful island of Palawan, which has just been declared as the fourth most desirable island in the world and home to the world-renowned Tubataha Reefs. San Vicente in Palawan has one of the longest stretches of white sand beach and has its own airstrip and is ripe for development in terms of hotel and resort accommodations, water systems, aviation, and the like. The other potential for investment would be Panglao, Bohol, which is home to the Chocolate Hills, which has just recently been awarded by the UNESCO as the Philippines' first and only geo-park. So Bohol is home to one of the best eco-tourism areas in the country, which reflects the government's drive towards sustainability. If you invest in the Philippines under the auspices of our tourism enterprise zones, we are able to offer a host of incentives that include lower corporate income taxes, exemptions, and certain importation taxes as far as tourism investment is concerned, and many other incentives under the newly passed CREATE law. So I sincerely hope that you visit the Philippines and that you invest in the Philippines, as that can only inure the benefit of your businesses, there being so many reasons to love the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Frasco, you're very good at your job. So thank you for sharing all of your insights with us. Captain Ng, we hope to make you a lot of money, open a lot more flights, please, and we'll get on them. I'm going to be one of them. And then George, move here. We want to bring talent here. We'll find you a great real estate agent. We want you to live here. So on behalf of the Bay Area Council and everyone here, thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Our second session will resume shortly at 10:45 with how artificial intelligence is transforming the life science and pharma industry.